Welcome to Leadership 101. We're so glad that you joined us here tonight. Each lesson that we have within this 6-week series, Leadership 101, is a standalone lesson. We have them available online. You can be able to watch them and view each lesson and gain the principles that we are laying out here. So much can be said within the aspect of leadership, as it applies not just in a business, but in home, in a church, in a community. Leadership is a vast subject, and each lesson cues in on some specifics that gives you good takeaways. And tonight we have the sponsor for Leadership 101, the entrepreneur, a businessman, a leader, men, people, ideas, in so many capacities, and that's going to be Larry Schoonover. And so we want to invite him to come and take his liberty and help us to become better leaders. Larry.
All right, thank you, Bruce. It is good to know that when these sessions are uploaded, they will be placed in an area where there will also be the notes, the documents, and also a questionnaire for you to review, fill out, so that you know you have some comprehension of the content that's being taught. Okay, so leadership from a Christian leader perspective is some of the content that I'm going to cover tonight. We've touched on some of these before, but lead by example is so important. Example is action. Your actions set the tone. People follow what you do, not just what you say.
Right.
Some have aspired to become orators and not actors. Words rather than action. The imperative is a leader goes somewhere. He's doing something that will compel others to follow.
Right.
Leadership is often relegated to standing in the front. The one in charge, the boss. Sometimes people get the idea, I want to be a leader, and in their own mind, what they're really saying to themselves is, I want to be up front, or I want to be in charge. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here tonight. Bossy people like to tell others what to do.
Yeah.
Leaders are doing something others want to follow.
Right.
Doing and following are action words. They're not just speaking, they're not just telling, they are action words. You tell what you know, you reproduce what you are.
Yeah.
James 1:22, this scripture comes to mind when I read that statement to myself. And it says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So the idea that words are just being passed around and ideologies and thought and sharing thoughts about leading, they don't get anywhere until somebody puts feet on the ground, boots on the ground, so to speak, and becomes a doer of the things that are being discussed. One couple comes to mind to me, and that's Mel and Sue Berglund. Mel is one of our instructors in this course, and they tell and they share the value of inviting people over. And their action shows that they believe what they say, because we have known them for years as people who are constantly, whether it's a neighbor, somebody down the street, or somebody they met at Costco, there is always a group of people coming to their home, and they are hosting a social or a fellowship. And so when they talk about the idea of hey, it's great, or it would be good if you would invite people into your home. They're not just discussing an idea. They're not just throwing some things out there, because they live what they're telling and what they're talking. They example this to others. I want to move on to the second thing, and that is cast vision. Leaders see farther. They paint a compelling picture of the future and help others to see their part in that future. Let me say that. Let me read that statement again to you. Leaders see farther. They paint a compelling picture of the future, and they help others to see their part in that future. Now, I'm going to read a statement I've been making for weeks now. Teachers, mentors, and coaches. I am in love with this particular scripture, 2 Timothy 2:2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses. This is the instruction from the Apostle Paul to Timothy, his son in the gospel. And he's saying, remember the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same things, commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. And so we see a perpetuating or an on-building, a multiplying process of the Apostle Paul. Because of the things that he taught, he shared them with Timothy, he mentored Timothy. You know, in order to be mentored, you got to spend time. Yeah. You got to spend time. I've discovered recently there's some guys that I would like to mentor. And we've even discussed that possibility. But the problem is they're just never around. Yeah. They have got, it's like Elisha, and Elijah. Wherever you saw Elijah, you saw Elisha. Yeah. And so it was easy to realize that Elijah was mentoring, he was coaching, he was exempling to Elisha. And this is how true mentorship takes place. Being associated with an individual does not make him your mentor. Okay? I wrote a statement because I'm working on a web page for some of the materials that we have been developing. And so I decided to write our vision. And this is the vision: to find and train believers to become teachers, mentors, and coaches of the apostolic doctrine, advancing the kingdom of God in the earth. So in other words, in repetition of what Paul was stating to Timothy, I believe this is something that we could and should be doing as long as there's time left to do it. Yeah. So now going from there, I want to jump to item number 3, and that is communication. Communicate clearly. Now this is something that I need to continue to work on. I struggle with this because there's times I learn from others, well, they really didn't know what I was saying. They didn't get it. And so rather than blame them on their inability to hear me, I've got to look at myself and I've got to say, I have got to learn to communicate in a better way, that I know I'm transmitting the message that I'm wanting them to hear. So communication builds connection and trust. Great leaders listen well and speak with clarity and purpose. This is something, again, that I want to improve, and I will make this statement: little is more. I have observed at times men who are in leadership roles that once they open their mouth, they can't seem to get it closed. And they say so much that it's difficult for individuals to process. I believe in the truth that little is more. So if I am leading a group for anything, the abundance of my words does not transmit a better message. It's clarity of thought and transmission of thought.
Yeah.
And the less I say, the stronger the message. The more I communicate, and with the abundance of verbalizing, that's a man who's in love with the sound of his own voice.
Yeah.
But what happens is it begins to water down and dilute the single message that you're trying to relay. So please consider that. Little is more. Another thing about communication, which I have come to a conclusion just recently, I want to be aware, because I know I've done this. When you're engaging with other people and somebody gives you an account of something, it often serves to trigger your own thoughts. And it kind of goes like this. I caught a fish the other day, and it was 12 inches long. And then all of a sudden your comeback is, oh yeah, I caught a fish the other day too, and it was 24 inches long. And the idea is, you don't need to one-up the person that's communicating idea, thought, an account, a report, anything. Avoid one-upping the person that's talking to you, and be a good listener. And just listen and acknowledge. Wow, that's great. Wow, that's a good report. Wow, appreciate you sharing that with me. You may already know all the details in the background, and you may be able to add on to it. But what happens is you take the the steam out of the boat. You take the wind out of their sails when you one up them. So it takes discipline. I know I've messed it up. I've been out eating with people, and I know I've come right back with a story and shared an account, and sometimes you feed on each other, and that it can be edifying, but you just got to pay attention and stay aware that you're not just one-upping somebody. Mm-hmm. Because when you're on the other end of that, it doesn't feel very good. Mm. It's like, okay, I'm done talking. I don't have anything more to share. Okay, I'm moving to number 4, which is very important, and that is empowering others. Delegation isn't dumping, it's development. Equip, trust, and release people to grow and lead. I'm in a role where I can give others, especially young men and women, opportunity to stand in a role where they are in the front, and they've been given a slot of time to share, teach, testify, whatever the case is. Okay, and I call it giving opportunity. So opportunity given. Here's something to remember. Opportunity given is not just to hear what you have to say, but it's to reveal what you have or have not. Yeah. Okay? So when I'm calling on individuals saying, hey, why don't you take 5 minutes and share about this or that, or, whatever direction you feel to do, it's not just because I think you're ready and you're going to just deliver some great thought and you're going to bless all the people. But what's in the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Right. And so it's my way of seeing what's there. Yeah. I'm going to say, take 5 minutes, and I'm expecting to, get ready, I'm expecting to critique you. Yeah. If all you get is a bunch of attaboys, attaboy, good job, yeah, you'll never improve, you'll never
Right.
develop, you'll never grow.
Good
You need criticism.
Yeah.
We put a positive spin on it when we say constructive criticism, but you need criticism. You want it, desire it, be ready for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You ever done a project and asked for feedback? Genuinely asking for feedback is not just asking friends or close peers, how did I do?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you're going to get a bunch of attaboys.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great, loved it, great, loved it. So the broader you reach for feedback, chances are you're going to get people who are honest with you. And I have asked others I want you to put out a questionnaire, I want you to get feedback, and I want you to call it honest feedback.
Mm.
You don't want a bunch of attaboys. You don't want a bunch of slap on the backs. You want somebody to say, well, that just went too long.
Yeah.
Or, that was just too loud. Or there was this problem or that problem. You need somebody to share those things.
Right.
Not because you're going to feel bad about yourself or your project, but the idea is you'll get honest criticism that you'll know, man, the room was freezing. The room was too hot.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to pay attention to those things next time.
Right.
Okay, so criticism is valuable. It can help with true improvement. Now, I'm going to drop one other line in here. Sometimes you're in a group discussion, and I have discovered some people seem to frequently take the position of being they call it the devil's advocate.
Mm.
That's okay once in a while, but not in every meeting.
Right. Right.
Not in every sit down. Don't be the confronting voice that stalemates the go forward.
Yeah.
There has to be camaraderie. I find it interesting that when it comes to groups, assembling of groups, somebody will pipe up and say, you don't want a bunch of yes men. And I'm thinking, so why is that so bad? What's so bad with everybody moving in the same direction?
Right.
Rather than being a countering voice all the time that stops everything, stalemates everything.
Yeah.
And that's why they say, if you want to kill something, put it through a committee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because in a committee, there'll always be those voices. All right. So pay attention who you are. Okay, practice integrity. Number 5, do the right thing, even when it's hard.
Right.
Trust is earned by consistency, honesty, and moral courage. Courage. We're living in a day when people read reviews and ignore the advertisement. I was actually kind of thrilled when I'd hear my kids, they'd say, well, I read the reviews, which is very smart, because advertisement is a sales pitch.
Right.
Advertisement can be true and it can be a lie.
Yeah.
But the reviews tell the story. Read lots of the reviews.
Yeah.
And when that came into play, because of the internet that is available now, and people leaving online reviews, you can look at an item. I find it interesting. I was shopping something on Amazon the other day, and now they actually post, this item is frequently returned.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, thank you for that. Next.
I didn't know that.
And so the honesty that has come to bear online is very important. Now, I was in business and working with, we call him our nephew, and we were doing iPhone repair business. And because we had set up a website to where people would post reviews on there, and we had 250 positive reviews, we didn't have one negative review. And so I would tell him, I said, you've got to be willing to walk away without a profit in effort to protect and preserve a good review. Okay? People are reading the reviews.
Yeah.
You want to have a good review. you don't want to get on there and realize somebody has said, he was just trying to make a quick buck and he really didn't care about my phone and he did this and now there's a problem. You don't want to do that. And so I would tell him, walk away from a job having served somebody with no profit. Even though you drove 20 miles to get there, walk away, because you're preserving the future by protecting the review. Honesty, integrity, okay?
Yeah.
So that's practicing integrity. Number 6, be humble and not passive. Leadership isn't about being the smartest or the loudest. It's about serving the mission and the people. Stay teachable and willing to admit mistakes. Another topic.
Oh, yeah.
Be willing to admit mistakes. A talented leader who is brilliant, very gifted, but will never own up and take responsibility when things don't go right, will lose his audience. He will lose his followers. People have more respect for somebody when there was a problem, even if they didn't create the problem, to take responsibility.
Yeah.
My fault. I'll take responsibility. My fault. Even if it's not mine, I'm going to take it. Okay?
Buck stops here.
Let me try to share a statement in a scenario with you. So you're responsible for somebody. Let's call him an employee. And your employee makes a bad mistake. It's bad enough that it disqualifies them from the role that they were facilitating in your employment. But you have 2 courses of action. You can just tell everybody, yeah, he made a terrible mistake. He did this and he did that. And so everybody will understand, well, that's why he's no longer here. Mm-hmm. Or you can decide to protect him and let others believe that you're the problem. Yeah. He's just not getting along with you. Because that guy left, that guy left, that guy left. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. It's moral integrity to take a high road and protect that individual, right, and let others think it's you rather than them. Yeah, yeah. Follow me? Good. Take responsibility. Okay. Number 8, develop people. A leader should develop people. Again, leadership is not just being the one standing in the front, doing the talking, communicating the message. Yeah. Real leaders multiply.
Excuse me, what was number 7?
Take responsibility. Okay. Develop people. Real leaders multiply. That's that mentoring process. I think it can become a natural thing in time. I can remember being young and looking at these things, and they would talk about becoming a leader and, you know, the different principles of leadership, and I wanted those things, but my role in life was not there, and so I didn't own any of it. I heard the right things. I read the books. I heard the speeches. I watched the videos, and where it talked about how to develop others and all of these things. But somewhere along the way, I have found it just becomes natural in the process. Mm-hmm. If there is, here, let me borrow from the old Karate Kid movie. Mm. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And there's a certain amount of truth to that, whether it's Confucius or I don't know who said that originally, besides Mr. Miyagi. But when the student is ready, there will be a teacher there. And teachers teach, mentors mentor, coaches coach. You don't have to be asked, would you mentor me? Would you coach me? If you're in the presence of a coach, he's going to be coaching you. If you're in the presence of a mentor, he's going to be mentoring you.
Yeah.
So, they invest time in coaching and mentoring and bringing out the best in others. Some people will never give you the opportunity. I mentioned this earlier. A lot of people have potential.
Yeah.
But a lot of people never use that potential.
Right.
It stays potential.
Yeah.
Because there are elements and ingredients in their life, they don't give you the opportunity to teach them, coach them, mentor you. They just don't give you the opportunity. They're often not around, just never around. Those people who are around, I used to say it this way, I'm an open book. And if I am dreaming something, if I have a vision for something, if I am praying about something, if I feel direction on something, if you're in my company, you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't care if we're out washing cars, cutting grass, pulling weeds. I speak out. And so oftentimes there's been people tell me, well, I want to hear the things that you're telling so-and-so. And I'm thinking, well, come around.
Yeah. Right.
And so, okay. Some people don't give you anything to work with. Just think about that. Number 9, make tough decisions. Leadership requires courage. Avoiding hard choices erodes trust. Decide with conviction and wisdom. Leaders make tough decisions.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with people questioning your decision.
Yeah.
Somebody had to make it.
Somebody.
You were the guy. You made it. Yeah. And so the more time and the more decisions you make like that, you get used to it. Your skin gets tougher. Number 10, stay mission focused. I guess I have number 11 here. Maybe a 12. Stay mission focused. Keep the why in front. Distractions are constant. Strong leaders fight to keep the team aligned with the mission. This is the mission. This is where we're headed. This is where we're going. Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused. Okay? I wrote down here the real test for leadership is leading leaders. Leading leaders. People already developed to a certain leadership level. They often come with personalities. Actually, always.
Always.
They always come with personalities, and it becomes more of a challenge to lead leaders. Now, if I was a Sunday school teacher and I had a bunch of 6-year-olds in a class, that may be tough, but keeping them rounded up and going in the same direction, you can manage that because they're not self-directed. As they become teenagers, they become a little bit more self-directed and self-conscious, obviously. But then as they become adults and professionals, and they have served in a capacity, but now they are on a team, they're on a team and a group of people, yet somebody's leading that group of people.
Yeah.
That's the real test of mature leadership. And that's when you've been called to lead leaders. One last thing, I'm going to call it number 12. Confrontation.
Oh my.
Most people early in life do not like and avoid confrontation. Raise your hand if that's you. I'm looking at you people looking through me, through the camera. Most people avoid confrontation, especially in their younger years. And I can remember my pastor telling me, you can't avoid it. You have to face it, and don't take it personal. That's what he would emphasize. When you know you've got to make a judgment call, you got to face off with somebody because they're doing something wrong, you got to tell them why it's wrong, but you cannot take it personal.
Right.
And that's how you confront situations. That doesn't mean you have to become obnoxious in any way, but you can speak softly, gently, but deal with the situation. And I have found through the years, as I have trained, mentored, and coached other leaders, there's no missing out. Every single person I've ever dealt with or tried to help, I had to have that conversation with them. You have to become comfortable with the idea that you will be confronting situations and people in their chosen direction sometimes, which is wrong or is not for the good of the whole. And so, again, this is an element that as a leader, you'll face it.
Yeah.
And it'll help develop you to be a better leader. You know, it never becomes so easy that you just don't care anymore about people.
Right.
You'll always care.
Right.
And you'll always be tender about it, but you'll also know there's nobody else that can handle this or nobody else in a role in this person's life.
Yeah.
I have to do this.
Yeah.
I have to say this. And I've been in that situation many, many, many times now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of my session. So thank you for being with us today. And we'll get this posted online and with the material and the questionnaire that we will forward to you. Thank you for being with us.